Hey y'all, Sherry G. Welcome to the channel. So, yesterday's episode of Love and Marriage Huntsville, I have to say that I actually enjoyed this episode. Um, it was very enlightening in a way. There's a lot to take away from it. One of the things that I really loved about this episode is seeing more about the Fletchers. Just the fact that they've opened the door to their life and we're really finding out more about them. And I have to say that I overall think that they're really good for the show. I will talk more about them later in another video. But in this video, I want to go back and talk again about Mel's name change ceremony. It was really beautiful. And, with the song, she went live earlier Saturday, and she gave some background on the song that she chose. She actually wrote the song, and she gave some background on how that song actually came to her, and how she reached out to her pianist, and how her pianist put the music to the words, and how everything just came together. And it was really, really beautiful. It was really, really touching. And I feel as though a lot of people really missed the spiritual significance of everything that was taking place. The spiritual significance for Melody, not necessarily for anyone else. But hey, if you were open and tapped in, there was a message there for all of us, actually. Anybody who was open to receive. But I feel like so many people were just caught up into the semantics that they really missed the deeper message that was being portrayed in that particular scene. So anyway, I am going to give my thoughts and views on that particular scene in this video. Before I get into it, please keep in mind that the views I express, it's just my way of seeing things. Everything that I share in this particular video about that particular scene is just what touched me, what I saw, what I took away from it. It doesn't make it right or wrong. It's just my perception. So it's all of opinion. And I may make some allegations, right? So I may say some things, that theoretically could be correct, or it might not, but it's just theory. It's just how I see it. It's just what I think is happening. Because again, we only see a snippet. So, so it's for, fair use, for entertainment. Take from it what you can, and all that jazz. Now, anyway, let me go ahead and put my disclaimer out here, so that I like to put it out in writing, so that it is embedded in the video, because I just want to make sure that I'm covered and I don't get any channel strikes. So you guys hang tight, and I will be right back with my commentary. Okay, you guys, so Mel's name change ceremony, I think it was beautiful. It was very, very touching. The song she wrote and that they had playing, man, it just really added that extra touch to it. And it literally brought tears to my eyes. Earlier on Saturday, Melody actually went live, and she told us, about the inspiration behind that song and how it came to her, how she just started singing it, and she reached out to her pianist who put the music to it. And when I heard it earlier, it was very touching, but hearing it while watching her, walk, it was even that much more powerful, that much more meaningful. It was a very, very deep moment. It was really good to see Miss Van. She looked so beautiful. And of course, Mel was gorgeous too. And like I said, the song was perfect. One of the things that Miss Van said when she was, reading her statement to Melody was, I love the way she said that Melody was standing on the shoulders, of her ancestors. But one of the things that she also said was that an obstacle is not a defeat. And so that is something that I think we can all take away, especially when we're trying to achieve a goal and we reach an obstacle. We have to see that it's not a defeat. There is always a way around the obstacle or a way to actually demolish the obstacle. It's just for us to figure it out. And so that's where growth comes in. So for Melody, the obstacle was the legal ramifications. She wanted to change her name early on, but because there were legal proceedings taking place, the law prevented her from doing it at that time. So that was just an obstacle. But, sometimes we just have to endure. And it's a test of our patience. It's a test of our strength. So I found that particularly touching as I'm moving through life right now and facing an obstacle. When I looked through the crowd and I noticed the people that were there, I know that majority of that was like family and some of her friends. And it was a very small crowd. But it told me that the people who were there were special to Melody. So this wasn't a ceremony that just associates could show up at. The people that were there, in my mind, were there for her when she was going through some of her toughest struggles. So when I looked and I noticed that none of the other castmates, the castmates who had been there from the beginning especially, were in attendance, I wasn't surprised. For me, it was understandable that the rest of the cast wouldn't be there because they weren't there for her when she was going through her struggles. And when I think about the women of the cast, I think one would at least expect the women to have been there to offer Melody some comfort when she was going through her struggles. God knows they were in no position to offer her any advice. Now, that's my opinion. They couldn't offer advice, but they could offer comfort. And the reason why I say they couldn't offer advice is because of their own struggles and their lack of transparency when it comes to those struggles. One would also expect that the ladies from the cast would offer a shoulder to cry on or even a heart to hear. But that wasn't the case. And when I think of Melody's ceremony and I think about the cast and, we saw, them at the Houston trip, like we saw clips of them at the Houston trip. And it seemed like the group that was at the pool was kind of making fun about this whole ceremony. When I was looking on social media, I even saw people taking jabs at Melody and questioning her. And to me, it just seemed like so many people were caught up in the semantics. Why? Why is she doing this? Who is she doing this for? Who's going to be there? What's the purpose? What is it all about? Where is it going to be? And so they were so caught up in the semantics that they totally missed the spiritual significance that this ceremony had for Mel. They totally missed it. And in my opinion, Nell Fletcher was one of those people. And I say that because I started realizing that she really wasn't tapped into this on a spiritual level. I realized it when she and Fletcher were out on their date night because, they were kind of joking back and forth too. Nell was saying things like, Melody likes to go way out. So I wonder, what it's going to be like. And then they were saying things like, was she going to marry herself? And kind of joking about it and stuff. Totally, to me, missed the spiritual implications, and I feel strongly that Nell was wrong to bring Martell up at this particular time. So let's just take a look at the clip where Nell Fletcher pulls Melody away at the ceremony and tells her she wants to talk to her. And then I'll come back with some more of my commentary.
Seeing your ex-husband.
I'm not really sure why Miss Nell wants to talk about Martell right now. Look around. This is a Martell-free zone, okay? Nobody's really checking for Martell. Today is not about him. Today is about me. Miss Nell, I'm gonna need you to get with the program.
He stopped by and brought us 2 bottles of wine.
Okay.
His wine. Chris wasn't there. Chris had went by the office. And he was just like, hey, Nell, so did you hear about Mel wanting to have a name change? I said, yeah, I heard about it. So what you think about that? I said, well, if that's her decision, then I stand by her decision. That's what she want to do. Girl, he felt some type of way. And by the way, I have been invited, and I'm going to be attending. Oh, you going to go? You going to go? I said, yes, I am. Oh, I don't think you should. I think that's a smack in the face to me. I said, well,
why does everything become about him?
Yeah.
He's in his feelings about me changing my name back to who I was when he met me.
He's in his feelings about you changing your name.
I pity him so much.
I think you should have talked to her about that. That's her name I gave her. That's sacred.
No.
You
said that's his name he gave me?
Yes, that's what.
So let me be clear. I was given a name before I met him, was I not?
Yes, you were.
That's not some of the most controlling, narcissistic stuff.
Yes.
That's why I'm celebrating today.
Yeah.
Not much anything Martell does is surprising. So hearing Miss Nell say that he was upset that she's coming to my name change ceremony and he gave me that name as if he made me, that's what Martell does. Typical narcissistic behavior. Boy, you did not make me and neither did your name because I was already Melody before I ever met you. 2 snaps.
All right, guys. So when she pulled Mel off and asked how she was doing, you would think that after listening to Melody explain how she was doing, she was saying things like, I feel light, I feel free, she feels liberated, she feels at peace, etc., etc. All of the things that she was saying in the clip, to describe how she was feeling at that time. You would think that at that particular point in time, Nell would be tapped into her own intuition and she would say, you know what, this isn't the time or the place for me to bring Martell up, knowing that the mention of his name and especially the news that she was about to bring her, the bones that she was carried with it such negativity, such bad energy. You would think that Nell would be wiser and she wouldn't bring it up. She would just say, you know what, I can talk to you about this later or something. I feel that Nell is the new bone carrier, and hey, if it was somebody else besides Melody, it wouldn't have been handled that way, I'm sure. But of course, Melody is mature. She has a lot of wisdom and she is on a different, she's on a different path spiritually, right? She is more spiritually tapped in. And I feel that she was tapped into her intuition when it came to handling Nell. Like she knew right away that when Nell said, I want to talk to you, that it wasn't going to be good. And so she knew how to handle her. Like she stayed tapped into her intuition and she didn't allow Nell to take her off course and to bring her all the way down and pull her all the way into the bad energy. I feel that Nell was choosing a moment over her friendship with Mel. She was choosing a moment to show up for television. Whether this was production led or not, I still believe that she could have taken charge and had this conversation at a different time. I feel like she's trying a little bit too hard. And actually, she doesn't really need to reach so far because she and Fletcher already have what it takes to be on this show. They've proven that in prior episodes, and they actually proved it even more in this particular episode. And I'll talk about that in another video. But we're already, or at least me, I'm already liking them for the show. I'm already liking their authenticity and everything like that. The fact that they're letting us into their family, they're letting us see the dynamics of their family and some of the real stuff that's happening in their family. You know, they've opened their doors up. So to me, she doesn't have to reach for any moments if that's what she was doing. Again, that's my opinion. That's what it looked like to me. It could have been, like I said, production led. But even at that, she could take charge and say, no, not now. Especially, like I said, after hearing Melody describe how she was doing. I feel like Nell almost ruined a beautiful moment. Or she could have ruined a beautiful moment had it not been for Melody's wisdom and her intuition and where she is spiritually, because she just kept going on and on and on. And I just love how Mel handled her and how she calmly shut her down. This clearly could have been done after the ceremony. Telling her later versus telling her then wouldn't change anything about how Martell is or how he behaves. I mean, Melody's been dealing with him and his antics for a very, very long time. And I know that Melody knows that once Martell hears or heard about what was going to happen, what was taking place as far as her changing her name, she already knows how he was going to behave. Maybe not knowing exactly what he was going to do, but she already knows how he's going to behave because it's the same thing over and over and over again whenever she does anything. He acts like a spoiled child. He loses himself. She's, like I said, been dealing with him for a long time. So again, there was no need to bring up the very person whose name she was trying to release herself from. Now, one of the things that Melody mentioned in her live that she did early on Saturday morning was that she did not realize that this episode was being aired on her birthday. She stated that once she realized it, she became excited, and she actually reached out to Carlos and said, hey, this episode is actually being aired on my birthday. And then she realized the significance of the date 11/11. So it's been said that the number 1111 is a powerful number as far as what it relates to on a spiritual level. It symbolizes alignment with the spirits, right? Spirit guides to God, to a higher sources of consciousness when we see it. And some actually say that when they see the number 1111, it's like a gentle nudge to stay focused and set clear intentions. The number 1111 means transition. It means change. The bottom line is that we are spiritual beings, and we're spiritual beings having a human experience, meaning that when we are clear-headed and clear of heart, that we ultimately see our worth and we start to think more bigger, right? We think more bigger, and we think better about what lies ahead. And seeing the number 1111 is like a message to be optimistic and mindful of what you're calling into your life when this timestamp reveals itself to you. So I feel like that was like a big deal for Melody, because that's where she is in her life. She's thinking bigger, she's seeing bigger, and she's seeing better. Although she had to overcome the obstacles, although she had to overcome all of these challenges, and with, she went through a lot of struggle. And I get that some of it was by choice, because she was choosing to stay in her marriage for longer than what some say they would have stayed in their marriage. But who knows, right? You never know why a person is going through what they're going through, and everybody's enough looks different. So I'm thankful for Melody and for her testimony. And I'm looking forward to all of what she has coming. But let it just serve as a reminder to all of us that we can also choose to think bigger, think better, move differently. And we can all choose to love ourselves first so that we can be better for those that we love. Anyway, y'all, that is all I have for this video. If you haven't done so, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. I'll be back. Until then, ciao.
How you like that?